When I first met Claire, I thought I had finally stumbled upon the kind of love people write about. She was vibrant, magnetic, and had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the room who truly mattered. I was a quiet, steady guy who never asked for much out of life, but with her, everything seemed louder, brighter, and alive. She called me her safe place, the anchor she had been searching for. I called her my future. We spent 3 years together, building plans for a life we were both sure would last forever. By the time I bought the ring, it didn't feel rushed, it felt overdue. I wanted to marry her, to give her the certainty I thought she craved. When she said yes, she cried, clutching my hands like I was the answer to her prayers. That night, we talked about our dream home, kids, and even where we'd want to retire one day. I remember lying in bed with her afterward, her head resting on my chest, thinking, I did it. I found my person. But looking back, there were cracks I chose not to see. She had a sharp temper, and every disagreement somehow ended with me apologizing. If I questioned her choices, she'd twist my words into accusations I never made. Once, when she stayed out late with her friends and forgot to call, I admitted I was worried. She burst into tears and told me I was controlling her, that I didn't trust her. I should have recognized it for what it was, emotional manipulation. But I told myself every couple had fights, that love meant compromise. Things shifted after we got engaged. She became colder. Sometimes she wouldn't return my texts until the next morning, brushing it off with, I fell asleep. Other times, she'd accuse me of being distant. Even though I was doing everything I could to keep us connected, my friends noticed. Even my mom quietly asked if I was happy. I told them I was. I had to be, right? The breaking point came on a random Tuesday. I was at work when I got a call from HR, asking me to come in immediately. My stomach dropped when I walked into that office and saw Claire sitting there with red, swollen eyes. She had gone to my company and told them I'd been emotionally abusing her, that I yelled at her, belittled her, and made her feel unsafe. I sat frozen as my manager explained the seriousness of the accusations. Claire wouldn't even look at me, just sat there shaking like some fragile victim. In that moment, my whole world began to collapse. I couldn't even process what was happening. I kept waiting for her to break the silence, to admit that this was some kind of twisted joke or misunderstanding. But Claire never flinched. She stared at the table like I didn't even exist, like I wasn't the man who had spent years loving her. HR suspended me pending investigation. I walked out of that office numb, my reputation shredded in a matter of minutes. My colleagues, people I'd worked alongside for years, looked at me differently. Some whispered when I passed, others avoided me altogether. I wanted to scream, to fight back, but all I could think was, why would she do this? When I confronted her later, she didn't deny it. Instead, she leaned against the kitchen counter of the apartment we shared and said, I had to. You were suffocating me. I needed a way out. Her voice was calm, almost casual, like she hadn't just detonated a bomb in my life. I couldn't believe it. This was the same woman who just months earlier promised me forever. What about the ring? The vows we talked about? Claire, I never hurt you. My voice broke. She looked at me with something I can only describe as disgust. You don't get it, do you? You were never enough for me. You were safe, stable, predictable. But I wanted more. And the only way to make a clean break was to make you the villain. Those words cut deeper than the false accusations. Because in her eyes, I wasn't a man she once loved. I was just a stepping stone, someone to blame so she could walk away guilt-free. The weeks that followed were hell. HR's investigation dragged on, though eventually they cleared me due to lack of evidence. But the damage was already done. My reputation at work was stained, and the people who once respected me now looked at me with suspicion. Some relationships never recovered. At home, Claire packed her things without ceremony. I begged her to talk, to at least explain why she had to destroy me instead of just ending things honestly. She shrugged. You'll get over it. You always do. But me? I have bigger plans. I don't want a small life with a small man. That was the last conversation we ever had in person. She left with the same ring I had given her, and I heard later she pawned it for cash. Friends told me she started dating someone new almost immediately, flaunting her freedom like it was a badge of honor. And me? I was left standing in the ruins of the life we had built, wondering how love could turn so cruel so quickly. Nights were the hardest. I'd lie awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our relationship in my mind. Was I blind the whole time? Did she ever actually love me? Or was I just convenient until she found something better? The betrayal didn't just come from her lies at work. It came from the realization that the woman I wanted to marry never truly saw me the way I saw her. People told me to be grateful that the truth came out before the wedding, that I had dodged a lifetime of misery. But at the time, those words felt hollow. I had invested years of my life, every ounce of trust one had, into someone who turned around and burned it all down with a smile. The false accusations faded from HR records eventually, but not from memory. Some colleagues avoided me forever, some friendships died quietly, and I had to work twice as hard to rebuild my image. Every time I walked into that office, I felt the weight of what she had done, like a stain I couldn't wash off. And yet, the worst moment of all wasn't the HR hearing, or her leaving, or even learning she'd pawned the ring. It was the last message she ever sent me. Months after she'd vanished from my life, my phone buzzed late one night. It was a text from her. "You should thank me. If I hadn't exposed your weakness, you'd still be living in that boring little bubble, thinking you mattered. Now maybe you'll toughen up." I stared at those words until my vision blurred. It wasn't enough that she destroyed my career, my friendships, my faith in love. She wanted to twist the knife deeper. That was her parting shot. Cruel, calculated, and meant to leave me broken. For a long time it worked. I carried her words like poison in my veins. But slowly, through the pain, something else grew, a determination. If Claire wanted me ruined, I refused to give her that satisfaction. I threw myself into my work, rebuilt connections with the few people who still believed in me, and started therapy to untangle the knots of betrayal she left behind. I'm not the same man I was before. I don't trust easily anymore, and the idea of marriage feels like a distant dream. But I've learned something important. Sometimes the people who claim to love you are the ones most capable of destroying you. And when they show you who they are, no matter how much it hurts, you have to believe them. Claire walked out of my life with lies, cruelty, and a final blow meant to crush me. But I'm still here. Bruised, scarred, but standing. And that's a victory she'll never take away.